Well, I hope you're having a wonderful week. It's early. Why not start off with a divisive topic, a somewhat spicy topic? Now, some of you might look at the title and say, I disagree. Wait, just wait, okay? Because when I approach this topic on Twitter, and that is Steam's capitulation to developers, the bending of the knee, the betrayal of customers in some people's opinions, many people were divided. They had simple, straightforward opinions that review brigading is bad. And in my camp, I think I said, look, customers have to have a voice. The minute you remove that right to a voice, then I have a problem. I also have a suggested solution that I'm going to get to at the end of this video that I think maybe will make both camps happy, and maybe somebody at Valve or Steam will consider this as an option. So in terms of review brigading, the general definition of it is simply, company does something bad, huge influx of negative reviews of a game happen. Now, on Friday, now, if you think that Steam didn't know that this was going to make some people mad, why did they release it at the end of the day on a Friday? Okay, so they came out saying, some time ago, we made some changes to how we presented user reviews for games and the resulting review score. We've talked about how those changes in this blog post. As we describe in our post, we want to make sure that players who've played the game can voice their opinions about why other people should or shouldn't buy the game. That's our summary of those opinions in a review. Review score should represent the likelihood that a future purchaser will be happy with their purchase. Since that post, we've continued to listen to feedback from both players and developers. It's clear to us that players value reviews highly and want to ensure they're accurate and trustworthy. Developers understand that they're valuable to the players, but want to feel like they're being treated fairly. We also spent a bunch of time building analysis tools to help better understand what's happening with reviews across all titles in Steam. With that feedback in hand, we think we're ready to make another change. That change can be described easily. We're going to identify off-topic review brigades and remove them from the review score. All right, so a couple paragraphs of fluff, and then we get to the actual change. All right, I'm going to read everything that they've said, and then I'm going to share with you why I think this is a huge mistake, and I think that the value you've just lost, the trust you're about to lose with your customers, is not worth bending the knee to developers. But I understand Epic Game Store's in town, and things are a little bit different. But while easy to say, it raises a bunch of questions, so let's dig into this. First, what do we mean by an off-topic review brigade? As we defined in our original post, a review brigade is when players post a large number of reviews in a short period of time. What they fail to mention is this only exclusively seems to relate to negative reviews, not positive ones, which we've seen in many places. We've seen with Captain Marvel, fake positive reviews. We've obviously seen many review manipulations in the past, but developers only care about the negative ones, right? Aimed at lowering the review score of a game. We define an off-topic review brigade as one where the focus of those reviews is on a topic that we consider unrelated to the likelihood that future purchasers will be happy if they buy the game, and hence not something that should be added to the review score. Obviously, there's a gray area here, no kidding, because there's a wide range of things players care about. So how will we identify these off-topic review brigades? The first step is a tool that we've built that identifies any anomalous review activity on games in Steam in as close to as real time as possible. It doesn't know why a given game is receiving review activity, and it doesn't even try to figure that out. Instead, it notifies people. So basically, you see a large influx of reviews, presumably negative, and somebody is alerted. Once our team has identified that anomalous review is an off-topic review brigade, will mark that time period it encompasses and notify the developer. The reviews within that time period will then be removed from the review score calculation. As before, the reviews themselves are left untouched, meaning you can yell into the aether, but it's not going to affect anything. However, we've also enabled you to opt out of this entirely. Make sure that you are automatically opted in if that's your preference. There's now a checkbox in your Steam score options that you can choose to have off-topic review brigades still included in all review scores. While we are working on some other features, this is okay, obviously, right? Q, I care about some things that other players don't, like DRM or EULA changes. Review brigades have helped with them in the past. Do you consider that unrelated or off-topic? We had long debates about the two. They're technically not part of the game, but issues for some players. In the end, we decided to find them as off-topic. No kidding, right? So if I post a review inside a period of an off-topic review brigade, my review won't be counted. That's correct. So they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Are you deleting reviews? No. So we get a good idea, right? Now, you can see, obviously, the community is not happy. Valve is committing fraud and pissing in our faces and telling us that it's raining, plain and simple. How many users is Valve willing to lose before they rethink their malicious manipulation in favor of the publisher? I mean, this is beyond stupid. Valve are disingenuous in suggesting that this criticizes the real-world presentation of a game rather than develops lofty vision goals is review brigading. Where can I leave a negative review for Steam? This seems problematic and undermines the community. I don't approve. So you can see, and I agree. Now let me address something. Okay, so a lot of the feedback that I got was, "Well, review brigading is bad. It's a plague on the industry." Really? Really? I mean, is there any real numbers out there? Is there any real numbers saying that it strongly negatively impacts sales? Or are we just reading about it on Kotaku and Polygon and PC Gamer, places that have lost all credibility in terms of providing reviews? Places like Rock, Paper, Shotgun writing about how this is a good thing, right? Why? Because they want to be the only voice in the room, obviously. You look at, I will admit that this is a small step in the right direction. However, belated. I mean, user reviews are sadly essential part of the Steam Store ecosystem. Right? This is what games journalists think of user reviews. They think they are sadly a requirement. Why do you think that is? Over the past few years, review brigades, people organizing en masse to post negative reviews of a game's store page to tank its review score, have become one of Steam's most visible issues. Nah, not really. Think about it. The thousands and thousands and thousands of games that are on Steam, how many of them have really been affected by this? Let's talk percentages. All right, I don't have the numbers. Only Valve has the numbers. But if I had to make an educated guess, we're talking about making a wholesale change over a couple of titles. And essentially, I read this as the following. Publishers say, we want to be able to piss off our customers and not suffer any backlash in our review scores. And Valve is saying, okay. That's exactly what's happening here. Now, you may not think it's a big deal, okay? And you may not be open to hearing why this is a big deal. That's your decision. But what this is a slippery slope. Who defines what a review is, if it's on topic or not? Who defines what's important in a user review? The entire premise of a user review is you are able to leave a review based on what is important to you. By removing things that someone else unilaterally thinks is not important. And oh, by the way, don't think for 1 second that these publishers aren't going to now pick up the phone and call Valve whenever anything bad happens. don't think that that's not what the publishers think this means. Now, this is obviously a response to Epic Game Store removing our rights to leave user reviews, removing our ability. It's not a right, I suppose. Our ability to leave user reviews. And this has been, in fact, the number one reason I don't support Epic Game Store. Obviously, publishers want this. And Steam is now bending the knee, which means they will now be more pliable the next time. Just because you as a viewer who might still currently disagree with me, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just sharing my opinion, okay? And I really, in fact, when you say to me, the biggest feedback is when I'm in support of this, basically, is that I just want to know if the game plays good. And to me, like, that's wholesome and pure. And I think you're right. Ultimately, that's the part of the review that matters. However, the community has no other active mechanism to leave feedback when, let's say, a company's development team attacks the community. Or when they release some DLC that's a buggy, broken mess. When they break promises. When they roll out ridiculous microtransactions. When they lie to the customers. All of these things will now be considered off-topic review brigades, and I can say you might not consider this as important, and that's okay. All right, I'm not attacking you, but I do. I have a finite amount of free time. I work full-time. I do the YouTube thing. I have a family, and I try to, squeeze out maybe 3 or 4 hours a week to relax. And to me, there are nearly infinite options for me in my spare time. I mean, I just bought Far Cry 5. So when I sit down and I'm like, I want to play some video games, I don't have to play the newest, hottest game. I don't have to play the brand new game. I just want to play a game that is good and from a company that doesn't hate their customers. So to me, if developers are publicly dumping on the players, that's a company that I don't want to support. I don't care how good the game is. I don't see it as any kind of sacrifice to play just any other game that's also good. We are living in the best possible time to be a video game player, all right? There is infinite options for amazing games. So if I can choose between a really good game that the company embraces their community or a really good game from a company that attacks their community, I am using those reviews to decide where I spend my money. Now, here is a solution, I think, that would be reasonable. Maybe Steam and people at Valve would listen to this. Although I suspect they will never implement this because this is really about protecting publishers, not improving accuracy of reviews. Steam already has one of the absolute best options to know if somebody actually owns the game or not. That is a huge, huge validation tool when I'm reading reviews. All right, when I see somebody's got 45 hours into a game and they're leaving a review, I'm paying attention to that. All right? Why not? And I understand that if, like, some game development company's social media manager says something stupid online, does that mean every one of the games that publisher or developers ever put out should be getting negative reviews? Probably not. But we don't have any other mechanism to let people know that the publisher, the game developer, is as important to us in some cases as the game, right or wrong. To me, I want to spend my money with companies that take care of the community. I felt absolutely sick that I owned SteelSeries headsets after that ridiculous Bully Hunters campaign. That's just how I am. There's a million other headsets I could own. I'd rather not own one from a company that does stupid stuff like that. So why not, Valve and Steam, list games? When you list a game, give users the ability to review the publisher and the developer and show that review score along with the game, right? So let's say you see a game that the developer has a 2.8 star rating and the game has a 5-star rating. All right, people will say, what's up with that? And they'll see that they did something stupid and they'll probably still buy the game. Then you can also make the case, instead of silencing user feedback, you can just move it to the right area, right? If it's identified as a review brigade, look, if I'm reviewing the company, which is what a lot of times happens in these game reviews, just give us the option to review the company and display it along with the game so that users can see, okay, this company is well rated and their game is pretty good. Similarly, you could say, wow, this company has a 5-star rating. It has 1,000 reviews and they put out a game that has like a 3.5 star. Maybe I want to support a company that supports the community. You know, I think this would be good. I think that this would be a good solution, right? And not one that makes your community angry, right? I get the brigading, but to me, what a company does to its customer base, how they treat me once I own the game, once I've committed to buying DLC or maybe paying a monthly subscription, or committed, most importantly, the most valuable asset of all, my time, how they treat my fellow consumers is important to me. It is something I look at. It isn't something everybody looks at, and that's obviously okay. For example, I don't get caught up on max FPS of a game. If it looks good and it has a good story mode, I really like it. That's what's important to me. You may really want max FPS and you want all the latest, fixins from NVIDIA, and that's cool too. But I think we could all agree that giving people a voice is a good thing, and to remove it is not the right solution. I think Steam and Valve should allow users to review the developer of the game, and they should also prominently display that along with the game. Yes, the game has an 88. Now you have the developer, and you see the developer has a 2-star rating. All right, at least give us that. That way we put relevant reviews in the correct spot. Silencing your customers is not a good look. It's not one I support, and I've supported Steam through a lot. I'm interested in what your opinion is, and hopefully you'll consider liking the video and giving it a share, because it definitely does help the channel. I hope you enjoyed this video, though, and we'll talk to you again real soon.